Hello there. Yo, what's up and welcome to the video. Today I'm ranking all of the Star Wars films from best to worst. I've just rewatched all of the 3 trilogies, so all 9 films. So today I'm gonna go rank every single one from the most favorite to my least favorite out of all of the trilogy films, and I'm gonna throw in a bonus video at the end and rank it. Before we get into this, if you like Star Wars, please like this video and consider subscribing. So I am a Star Wars fan. I absolutely love Star Wars. All 9 films on this list, plus the bonus film, I adore. So I will these to do well. I absolutely love this and I'm reviewing them as a fan. That being said, there are better moments, there are better films, there are worse moments. I will say this was really tough, but I think the list I've got is pretty solid. So all the Star Wars movies ranked, let's do it. Do it. This is where the fun begins. So this was a really tough list to put together. Ranking them definitively from best to worst was really tough. But I will say the #1 top spot was actually the easiest to place. And for me, the #1 film in Star Wars is Revenge of the Sith. This film is Star Wars at its best. It adds so much to the originals. It's got some of the best lightsaber fights. It has some of the best dialogue in all of Star Wars. And from start to finish, it is such a good, fun movie that also isn't afraid to be dark and gritty and show that sometimes the line between light and dark isn't always clear. And for all them reasons and 100 more, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars film. One of the reasons I absolutely love this film is that it's the most quotable film in history. This is where the fun begins, the tragedy of Darth Plagueis, hello there, so uncivilized, the high ground. This is the most quotable, memeable, fun film in movie history, and that's one of the reasons I absolutely adore this film. Every time I watch it, I just get something else from it, and I know some people really rip on the dialogue, but for me, it is just awesome. This has the best action in all of Star Wars and also the best pacing. From start to finish, there is never a dull moment. Even R2 starts kicking some ass, which is really cool to see. Obi-Wan's brilliant, Anakin's brilliant, the Emperor is amazing. I watched it a few weeks ago, I then rewatched it a couple of days ago, and I'm 100% gonna watch it again within the next few weeks. Revenge of the Sith, #1 Star Wars film. #2 is Return of the Jedi. The reason I put this as #2 is I love this film. It has the best ending of any film in Star Wars. The last hour of this movie is phenomenal. When Luke confronts Vader and the Emperor in the Death Star and they face off against each other, Vader eventually turning back to the light side and Luke and Vader having that interaction where he takes off the helmet and sees Vader as Anakin again and him coming back to the light. It is such a beautiful moment. Then when he is back on Endor and he sees the Force ghosts, he sees Anakin, Yoda and Obi-Wan. As a Star Wars fan, it cannot not bring a tear to your eye. It is amazing to see the whole saga comes full circle. Just a perfect way to end the Skywalker saga. #3 is A New Hope. It's what started it all, and that's why I want to rank this so high. But also because of the simplicity of the story, it is the perfect hero's journey from start to finish. And because this was filmed and made with the intention that you watch it, you go on this hero's journey, and it has a really conclusive ending that you feel satisfied with. Watching this film in isolation is awesome. I also really like how this isn't reliant on big CGI monsters and ridiculous fights. It's so simple, and it's one of the films that even in 40 years, it will still be an awesome movie. What really enhances this movie as well is if there's a YouTube video, and I'll put a link to it in the description, called Obi-Wan Has PTSD. It splices some of the prequels in with this movie, and you really see the vision that George Lucas had for Star Wars and the Skywalker saga all the way from the beginning. There's another video which is Vader and Obi-Wan fighting without all of the limitations of filming back in the 70s, and it is awesome. So I consider both of these videos on YouTube canon. Watch them, you're gonna love them. #4 is Empire Strikes Back. This film is perfect from a critic standpoint, from a Star Wars standpoint. This is a perfect, flawless movie. You would expect that I'd probably put this a bit higher, and I did debate it, and originally I did, but the only reason it's not, because it's a perfect movie throughout. It is flawless, and any flaws you do see, you are really nitpicking, because this movie is sick, not just for Star Wars, for all movies. This is one of the best, greatest movies of all time. The reason why it's not so high on my rankings is There's a couple of moments in Return of the Jedi, New Hope, and Revenge of the Sith that just clinch it for me. I can hear the good argument for it to probably be in second place, but for me, it's number 4. It has some of the best character development of Luke and his relationship, obviously, with Darth Vader. Leia and Han's relationship really gets going in this, seeing Luke get absolutely battered by Darth Vader. Yoda and Luke training is amazing. That half an hour, 45 minutes is so much fun. I'm gonna leave it there because the internet can articulate so much better than I can why this is a perfect movie. But for me, the reason it's not quite so high is just that moment of Order 66, Darth Vader killing Palpatine and turning back to the light. They just clinch it. Number 5 is The Phantom Menace. So this has the best lightsaber duel in all of Star Wars. It could even be the best fight scene in movie history. It is so good. The one with Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul. This also holds a special spot for me. This was the first ever film I saw in the cinema when I was 6 years old. Every little nitpick that you could have with this movie, I have it too, but I just choose to look at all the great things about it. Qui-Gon being a really nuanced, complex Jedi, one of the most interesting Jedis in all of Star Wars. Darth Maul being an amazing villain. Seeing Palpatine as Palpatine. It isn't without its flaws, hence why it's not higher, but it has some of the greatest moments in Star Wars, and that fight with Darth Maul is amazing. If you don't like Jar Jar, there's a video that I'm going to suggest that's going to make him a little bit more bearable. So it's called Darth Jar Jar Theory, and it's theorizing that Jar Jar was a Sith Lord all along. Watch the video. I'm not going to spoil it, but watch the video. I'm going to put a link in the description. Number 6 is The Rise of Skywalker. So I really struggled here with the sequels. When I asked myself, why were these made? What do these add to the Star Wars universe? And do they add to the universe more than they take away? And sometimes I struggle to answer that. So I found it really hard to rank all of these 3. This movie's fun, it's super fast paced. Seeing Kylo's redemption, particularly the scene with Han Solo and how it mirrored the conversation in The Force Awakens, but in reverse. That whole redemption arc is so cool, and that's pretty much, it's Kylo Ren is the reason why I'm putting this at the top of the list. Number 7 on my list is The Force Awakens. So this is another fun movie, visually amazing. All the sequels are visually stunning. When I initially saw this, I was super excited about what they were going to do with Rey. Was she going to be Obi-Wan's granddaughter? With Snoke, we were theorizing, was it Darth Plagueis? Who is Snoke? I would say why this doesn't quite rank even higher is because some of the things that we were excited about didn't really meet the expectation that they were built up to be. So many opportunities were missed in hindsight, and that's probably the reason why there isn't that magic around this film. But that being said, it's a great movie, it's super fun. Some of the characters are really interesting, like Finn. I quite liked Poe. I thought Han was great in this movie with Chewie. Kylo obviously steals the show in every movie. So there's so many good elements to this, but I rank it number 7. Number 8 is The Last Jedi. This is the best looking Star Wars film, hands down. It's a gorgeous movie. It's also the one I've watched the least. I only watched it in cinema, and I haven't since rewatched it since the other week. And I must say, it is actually in hindsight a better movie. But because of how this made me feel walking out of the cinema on Christmas Eve, I was distraught. What they did to Luke, what they did to Rey's heritage, what they did to Snoke. All I could think is it's outrageous and it's unfair. On rewatch, I will say I really enjoyed this movie actually, because my expectation was that it's going to be so bad, I'm going to get really frustrated at it. But actually it was the opposite, and I started to appreciate some of the decisions that they actually made. So in particular, I was really frustrated at the Luke reveal where it was a hologram all along, or a force projection. But actually in hindsight, I think that was a really good decision. Even if I would have preferred it to have ended a different way, there still was a lot of missed opportunities of his character. I was just distraught for most of the movie of what he's gonna do. A few of the decisions, like Rose and Finn's lame little adventure, how Rey had little to no training, she just kicked everyone's ass. And I think it's because my expectations were so low watching this on a rewatch, that actually I ended up really enjoying this. But because of how I initially felt when I watched this, it's gonna be number 8. Number 9 is The Clone Wars. Number 9 is Attack of the Clones. So this has the worst lines in all of the films. The dialogue between Padme and Anakin is terrible. And I also really didn't like, particularly at the start, Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship and how Anakin just seemed to hate Obi-Wan. I really just don't enjoy watching it. It had overuse of CGI. It just looks like a PS2 game. Ultimately, the aim of this film is to be a love story between Anakin, who will become Darth Vader, and Padme, and really sell that romance. And because that just did not land at all, that's why this hits right at the bottom of the list, and it's gonna be my worst rated movie. It still has some really, really good moments. The last 45 minutes, the fight on Geonosis is absolutely awesome. The fight with Count Dooku, Obi-Wan, Anakin, when Yoda comes in, spinning around. Regardless of what you think of Yoda spinning around, it was super cool to watch. When Anakin confronts the Sand People. I also really enjoy Obi-Wan going to see the clones of Kamina. It's just because of the romance and how it just did not land well. That's the reason that this gets the worst spot, number 9 in my rankings. So, bonus film. The bonus film I'm going to review is Rogue One. So I think this film is really, really good. It has one of the best scenes in all of Star Wars, where you know the scene, they're in the corridor, it's dark, and then you see this red glow of the lightsaber and Vader's figure and him just ripping through the rebels. I really am in favor of how the direction that they're taking Darth Vader, and every time he's on scene, it's a survival horror. I am super in favor of that. It's got some really compelling characters as well. I'm one with the Force and the Force is with me. Them two friends, their relationship sells from the instant they're on the scene. This showed the darker side of the rebellion and how they're not always squeaky clean, and in order for good to prevail, you might have to get your hands dirty. And actually, I don't think any of the other films have explored this massively. As a standalone movie, this really complemented the trilogies and the saga, and it didn't take anything away too much. It just added so much to the story, and it connected to it in a way that you can watch it in isolation but still enjoy it, but enhanced the overall story and connected back to the original. So I thought the way that they handled this movie was amazing. This was really tough to do a ranking that was from 1 to 9 definitively, but what is much easier is putting them in a tier of how I generally feel about the film. So I'm going to do now a tier ranking. The movies that I'm going to rank the best, they are absolutely near enough perfect. I'm going to call that category One with the Force, and what we have in there is Revenge of the Sith and all of the original movies. So we've got Return of the Jedi, we have Empire Strikes Back of course, and A New Hope. These are all One with the Force, they're near enough perfect. The next is Jedi Knight. So what I'm going to put into here is The Phantom Menace. I think this movie's great, it's got some awesome moments, but it's not perfect. And Rogue One. Next category is Much to Learn. They're okay movies, I enjoy them, but they're neither here nor there. The ones that are going to go into here are the sequels. A Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. Then the last category for me is outrageous and unfair, and the one that's going in there is Attack of the Clones. It's got a couple of really good moments, it's just so outweighed by all of the bad dialogue, the overuse of CGI, so for me this film is outrageous and unfair. So boom, that was my ranking of all the Star Wars films plus Rogue One. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment in the description. What's your favorite films by ranking? Go 1 to 9 and then place Rogue One. Please like, please subscribe and comment below. Boom. Hello there.